last 24 hours. Powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, Parshas Yisroi, Chai Shvat, and it's Toshim Pai Vov today, February 5, 2026. My name is Gershy Schwarcz and I'm your host on Edge. Kodim Kol, a hearty Mazel Tov to my oldest brother from London, Hagun Hamagid Arav Shloimeh Kohen Shlita, on the shidduch of his daughter Miriel to Yiddi Magulius, Iksil Yehida ben Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Magulius from Canvey Island. I wonder if he's an einikl of today's tzaddik, the Rabbi Yaakov Magulius who's your tzaddik today, the Av Bezdin of Nuremberg. Ich weiß nicht. Anyway, speaking of my brother, the happiest man I know, Elon Musk, the richest man I know. I think he's worth over $800 or $900 billion today. I'm not sure exactly where the numbers stand, but he's almost a trillionaire, the only trillionaire in the entire world. Posted on his own platform X, whoever said money cannot buy happiness really knew what they were talking about, with a sad emoji right after that. He gave lots of people what to do. The comments erupted into so many different shows, podcasts, writers, magazines, gilionis, news stations, interviews, and everyone forgot about the happenings of the planet Earth today, Iran and other interesting things that are going on. And everyone is now focused on Elon. And it was Tu B'Shvat and everyone was focused on Elon. But Ma Shmiya Shuma Ivu. Everyone is talking about it. What's going on? We'll talk about it more soon. But first, let's talk about enhance your Simcha or Shabbaton with Mementos, affordable, curated, personalized care packages delivered directly to your guests' rooms when you make an event, right? Avoid the hassle with our thoughtful amenities, they say. A standard package includes a glass bottle of water and customizable sachets with your logo and stuff, with a free toiletry sachet if you mention on Edge, which is actually a costly add-on. So, it includes floss, mouthwash, Q-tips, toothpicks, Band-Aids, Tylenol, Tums, and other interesting things. The standard the baggies come with pastries and like a brownie or something like that, and Shabbos candles and matches, and also containers of candies and chocolates and nuts. You can also add newspapers and magazines as an add-on, and other things. Mishloach Mudas is also around the corner, so Memento's there for you as well, 100%. Call and contact Memento at 845-318-GIFT. Or you can always email them at info@mementony.com. Follow them on Memento NY, Instagram, and all the other social media platforms. Mention on Edge, like I said, for a good deal. The important talks between the United States and the Iranian government are back on for Friday morning. These meetings in Oman were almost cancelled. Reporters, as usual, reports say the Trump administration said either we talk in Turkey or we don't talk at all. Iran's message was, so let's not talk. But a group of leaders from the Arab countries asked the White House to keep trying to reach a diplomatic deal, so the Trump administration actually gave in. The US says they only agreed to change to show respect to their allies in the Middle East. Even though the meeting is moving forward, both sides are still arguing about what they will actually talk about. So there's talks about the talks that they're going to talk about. Interesting. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the US wants to talk about 4 things. Stopping Iran's nuclear program, which we all know. Well, although Trump says it was obliterated, it wasn't really obliterated, because there are talks of these trucks before the attacks coming and, moving away some enriched uranium to other places in Iran. So we don't know if they actually dismantled it or obliterated the entire nuclear program in Iran. They must have kept it in Natanz or in other places like Isfahan. We don't know. But the things that they're going to talk about, like I said, is stopping Iran's nuclear program, their missiles. Obviously, they have a missile right now that they say can reach within 8 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes, it can reach Israel, and it can go on high speeds and, I don't know the measurements in space, but in space, out of space, and it can reach Israel within 10 to 12 minutes, and they've already deployed it in several areas in Iran. So, yes, Iran is very serious about their threats, and at the same time we cannot trust them. So they want them to stop Iran's nuclear program, their missile program, their support for Islamic terrorist groups like the proxies Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen, and of course Hamas. So, and how, and ISIS I believe as well, I'm not sure if they're part of it, but all terror groups are one to me, so it doesn't make a difference, they're all the same. And how the regime treats its people is also on the agenda. That's also going to be one of the things that the US wants to make sure Iran is on the table with an agreement with them. But Iran says they will only talk about the nuclear program and nothing else. While the diplomats get ready, the US military is staying close by. Aircraft carriers and warplanes are stationed across the Middle East in case the talks fail. All this uncertainty is causing big problems for Iran's money. The Iranian rial dropped a record low this week. I didn't know it could go any lower than that, but the price of oil, we heard about Elon Musk saying that money can't buy happiness, and we see that. The price of oil went up by about 3%, as people around the world are worried the talks might not even happen. And that means an attack is imminent. So, yes, let's talk about I am so confused. I think it's time to get organized.
Exactly.
Oh, hello. What's your name?
Sroli Schoenfeld, the business organizer. You know why you're confused?
Why?
It comes to business owners a lot of times. They have very good strategy. They have good goals set in place. But the problem happens when it comes to the back end of the company is not properly set up. In order to be able to grow and focus on your vision, on your goals, you need to be properly set up in the back end of your company, which means delegation strategies, have the right hires, anything and everything that has to do with the day-to-day operation of the company.
Exactly. And this is why you should call 347-939-9959 and Sruli himself will answer the phone and take care of you and your business, obviously. Yes, Syria is also starting to look for oil and gas in the Mediterranean Sea. The Syrian government signed a deal today with the American company Chevron and a company from Qatar as well called Power International. They will work together to find oil and gas in the water. While this new deal is a big win for the Syrians and their partners in Turkey, it is not good news for Israel. Israel uses the same water for gas and oil, and there are no clear border lines. This might be problematic. Tom Barak, the envoy to Syria, helped arrange this deal. Islamic terrorists from Iran, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, took over 2 oil tankers in the Persian Gulf this morning. The group says they stopped the ships because they were smuggling over 1 million liters of fuel. They also arrested 15 foreign workers. Right after taking the boats, an official from the group sent a direct threat to the United States. He warned that if America tries to get involved, there will be a massacre and hell, they said in the region. Iran has a history of taking ships like this whenever they wanted to start trouble with the West. Yesterday there was a drone shut down, if you remember, if you heard my news segment yesterday. Okay, let's go back into the United States and talk about some politics. Boring news and politics, right? I'm joking. If you have a green card, the government bank is now closed. The Trump administration has officially barred all non-citizens from getting small business loans. Starting March 1st, you must be a full U.S. citizen to get a 7A or 504 loan from the SBA. Until now, legal residents could still qualify. But the White House says taxpayer money must stay with citizens only to protect against invasion. Democrats are furious, of course. The Supreme Court just handed Democrats a major win, which can help them in the 2026 election. The justice ruled on Wednesday that California can use a new district map that heavily favors the Democratic Party. Republicans tried to block it, arguing it was illegal, but the court rejected their request without even writing a full opinion. This is seen as a direct payback for Texas, where Republicans redrew the lines to help themselves last year. California Governor Gavin Newsom celebrated this ruling, saying Trump started this redistricting war and now he lost. Speaking of Governor Newsom, he just published a book, a memoir on himself. Critics say the book tries to turn his rich upbringing into a struggle. They say he is getting ready to run for president in 2028. It's designed to make Newsom look like a regular person and stop political attacks before they start. But we all know where this rich boy comes from. Mayor Mamdani has chosen a new leader for the city's anti-Semitism office. And the Jewish community is, let's say, on edge. He appointed his name is Felisa Wisdom. A woman. Felisa Wisdom. We know women have wisdom, but this one quite doesn't really match the profile, I guess. The head of the far-left progressive group. I would call them the apologetic Jews, you know. The big concern is that she opposes the standard definition of anti-Semitism used by the rest of the world. Zionism is not the same as hating Jews. In other words, you can hate a Zionist but not hate a Jew. And yes, the community leaders say you cannot fight Jew hatred if you refuse to define it. They worry this office will now focus on politics instead of actually protecting Yidden across the city. The mayor is also facing anger for playing social media star while the city froze. 16 people died in the recent blizzard and streets were left unplowed. Like I said, the New York Post had their caption, the city that never sweeps. But Mamdani was busy showing off a custom-made work coat. I think it's called a Carhartt work coat. Anyway, this week, a man named Yabetz tried to attack an officer with a knife. The officer shot him to protect himself. But instead of backing the police, Mamdani went to visit the attacker to comfort him. The mayor said that the police made it worse and the man should get counseling, not jail. Yidden across the city are shocked that the mayor is supporting a criminal over the police who keep us safe. When the mayor cares more about his coat than the cops, the city is in trouble. Yeah, President Trump announced on Wednesday that he is sending federal law enforcement to Arizona to help find the 84-year-old mother of NBC anchor Savannah Guthrie. Trump said he is directing all, in all caps, he wrote, all federal law enforcement to be at the family's disposal immediately. Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home on Saturday night, and police found signs of forced entry in a house, blood on the scene, and her car and phone were left behind. 3 media outlets have reportedly received ransom notes demanding millions in Bitcoin, but police are still verifying if they are real. Savannah Guthrie posted an emotional video begging her mother's captors to reach out, saying, "We need to know she is alive, please." Federal agents arrested Don Lemon last week. Now, I didn't report it last week because it slipped through the cracks, I guess. He is a journalist and host of the Don Lemon Show. He used to report to the CNN, but was fired after 17 years of work. Prosecutors say he broke the law while covering a protest inside a church in Minnesota last month. A group of activists stormed the church to shout at the pastor. Lemon was there filming for his online show. The government charged him with conspiracy against rights, saying he helped disrupt a religious service, which is a federal crime. Lemon claims he was just there as a journalist to report the news. Federal prosecutors officially charged the terrorist Yimach Shemoy, who murdered 2 Yidden in D.C. with terrorism yesterday. If you remember, Elias Rodriguez was already in jail for killing Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Lynn Milgram outside the Jewish Museum in May. He shouted "Free Palestine" and told police he did it for Gaza. On Wednesday, the government added 30 new charges. The death penalty is now a real possibility for the 31-year-old Jew hater. Now, the Afghan man who shot 2 National Guard soldiers in D.C. faced a judge on Wednesday. I think his name is Jabba Lakanwal, or Jabba Lakanwal, let's call him like that, pleaded not guilty to murder charges for the attack near the White House of 2 D.C. officers. 2 National Guard officers last November. 1 soldier was killed in that shooting, and Lakanwal faces life in prison if convicted. He obviously claimed he's not guilty. A British jury let 6 Jew haters go free yesterday after they destroyed an Israeli defense factory. The group admitted they smashed the Elbit System building in Bristol, England, to stop Israel. And that was actually a few months ago. I reported it here on Edge, this news. Unbelievably, the jury accepted their excuse. On Wednesday, all 6 were found not guilty of burglary. Jewish leaders say this gives permission to attack Jewish targets, and that's terrible. The man who tried to assassinate Donald J. Trump in Florida was sentenced to life without parole on Wednesday. Ryan Ruth was caught with a rifle near Trump's golf course last September. Judge Aileen Cannon called his plan deliberate and evil and cut off his speech in court. Trump said he is glad the evil man was caught. Hagun Rebel Yochim Schlesinger, Zeicher Tzaddik HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the oldest Rosh Yeshiva in the world, was nifta yesterday in London. He was 104 years old. He lived a very long and amazing life. He was an amazing person in England. Rebel Yochim, Zeicher Tzaddik HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivas Haruma, and the grandson of the legendary Rabbi Yaakov Rosenheim. He was one of the last links to the previous generation, having been close to the Brisker Ruv, Zeicher Tzaddik HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and also the Chazon Ish, Zeicher Tzaddik HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Aside from his Torah, Rebbe Yochim was famous for burning fire to protect the Kfurim of Yidden for his burning fire to protect Kfurim of Yidden in Europe. He founded the Committee for the preservation of Jewish cemeteries in Europe. He traveled the world and met with presidents and kings to stop developers from digging up Jewish graves. Because of his work, thousands of kvurim in places like Vilna and Poland were saved from destruction. The Levaya took place in Stamford Hill yesterday, with thousands of Yidden gathered to escort him, to be Melava his neshama. He was nifta on Wednesday, like I said, on Yiddish Schwarcz. Yesterday, Yiddish Schwarcz Tufshim Pai Vuv. Okay, let's talk about shawarma delights. Protobyte first. Okay. Before you have a shawarma, you have to first call Protobyte to make sure that they're working on your website, on your app, your system, 347-354-1237. If they are working on it and you're getting a little hungry, you can stop by Shawarma Delight. Tonight is Thursday night and they're open till very late. They have yapchik, all kind of delicious Tayameu Chaim Zuchi stuff that you might enjoy and delight yourself with. Stay on edge for a free drink. They're next to Bingo, off exit 14. YS Capital Group is always there for you if you would like to have a loan. Okay, that's YS Capital Group. Want a loan for investment? 718-831-2168. Arrive Express, the most reliable taxi service I know. Rockland County, 845-622-1111. KJ, 845-254-1111. Now, a billionaire's wake-up call, which is the true currency. Let's talk about this Elon Musk saga situation, right, shall we? It takes a billionaire, or might I say a trillionaire, to finally awaken to the timeless truth. Money cannot buy happiness, indeed. But I believe the opposite is... a Jew always thinks the opposite. He always turns around things. So I thought happiness can indeed buy money. Why? Money is just a tool. It's just a means to an end. Digits and paper that purchase physical and sometimes spiritual pleasures, right? However, happiness is the source of true drive. It fuels passion, innovation, and perseverance, leading to success and prosperity. That is basically worth way more than just digits and paper. As our Chachumim say, Chazal, Ocher hasamayach bechelko, who is rich, one who is content, happy with their portion, right? This deep understanding stays with us, reminding us that the pursuit of genuine happiness, genuine joy, is the path to the richest life of all. Let's not forget about the time when Bill Gates found something else money cannot buy. Remember the story? Bill Gates learned that the hard way that money cannot buy everything. Years ago, Microsoft invited the famous Yiddish speaker Kiwi Bernard to give a keynote speech at a huge conference, for those who remember the story. But there was one problem. The speech was scheduled for Shabbos. Kiwi told them, "I'm sorry, I don't work on Shabbos." The executives didn't get it. They offered him double the money, then triple. Then they even told him to write his own check. Kiwi still said no. Finally, Microsoft had no choice. They moved the entire conference to Sunday just to get him. Later, an executive told Kiwi that he was on a private plane, a jet with Bill Gates together, and told him the story. Bill Gates looked at him and said, "Wow, I wonder what it must be like to have something that money cannot buy." It turns out the richest men in the world are still poor compared to us Yidden with Shabbos. And with that, my friends, have yourselves a wonderful Shabbos and stay informed and stay on edge. We'll see you, Be'ezer Hashem Yisborach, next time.
Your daily report of the news of the last 24 hours, powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.